You know, North Texas isn't the only part of the state dealing with wildfires right now. In Central Texas, the conditions are dangerous too. The Turnersville Fire Department, which is west of Waco, posted this video, I should say, of the Rio Escondido fire. Now, this started burning yesterday in Hamilton County. The Texas game wardens posted that 23 game wardens have been helping with road closures and evacuation efforts. 1,500 acres have burned with 0% containment. And one more look from the CBS News Texas chopper surveying the Ross fire that's burned more than 50,000 acres so far. Evacuations are still in place for South Jack County, which is more than an hour west-northwest of Fort Worth. The fire is only about 5% contained. And look at all of that scorched earth. And when we've seen the course of this fire, it started as a 25-acre fire yesterday, Nellie, and it ballooned, it blossomed to 50,000 acres overnight.
It went from a spark to a 5-alarm fire within 1 hour.
Right.
That is incredible. And we had some winds to 25 miles per hour, but we didn't have 40-mile-per-hour winds or anything like that.
Right.
So it's just really incredible. But the best thing happened today. We got a little bit of rain. We haven't seen rain, measurable rain, for 40 days at DFW Airport. So it really was incredible to see at least a couple of showers over Palo Pinto and Jack County. You know, just a couple of months ago, we had green grass all over North Texas, lots of rain in parts of our area across June and now into July. But in August, we really started to dry out. And now this is what it looks like, extremely dry grass. So we know that is fuel for the fire. So taking a look at what we can expect. Today, the winds will start to pick up. We're talking 20 to 25 miles per hour. Any little spark can really get these fires going. And as we saw, and we mentioned that the fire went from a spark to 5 alarms within 1 hour. Hopefully, they'll be able to get it under control, but we are really looking at the possibility of this fire continuing throughout the day and into tomorrow, unfortunately. And these firefighters will have to deal with these conditions. Heat, 105 until tomorrow when it starts to go down just a little bit. The temperature will be closer to 102, 100. So still very hot. But I wanted to show you this. What is fueling the fire? We talked a little bit about this during the start of our newscast. Dry grass. It ignites easily and carries the fire rapidly. We have juniper and cedar. Flames become more intense because of that particular type. Brush and mesquite, that woody vegetation, really burns hotter and longer than anything else. And then we're looking at that speed and intensity, and that becomes that large fire. And that's why we have an extreme fire danger once again today. That and temperatures that will go up. It still feels okay right now. We are at 87 in Dallas. Fort Worth is at 89 yesterday, and the day before we were well into the 90s. So it's a little bit better, but because of the sunshine and the wind coming in from the south, we'll go up to about 104, 105 later on. And the dew point, which is we measure the humidity in the air, it will drop throughout the day today. We'll have very low humidity. That in combination with the wind, which right now it's gusting up to 20 miles per hour in Fort Worth, but that will also start to ramp up. That is the reason why, once again, we have that extreme fire danger that it does encompass Fort Worth, Tarrant, into Parker. Palo Pinto is between very high and extreme, obviously, also in Jack County and Collin County. So we need to continue to be careful. Now, tomorrow, that threat goes down just a little bit. The temperature will go down. We'll have light winds. We'll have a little more humidity. It won't be great conditions, but they will be better tomorrow, and that will hopefully help our firefighters. So let's go ahead and take a look at what else we can expect for the rest of the afternoon into the evening hours. You can see here we have an extreme heat warning through 9 p.m. I do not think it will be extended through tomorrow because the temperature will go down below that threshold of 105. Look at this. We had a few showers even in the Metroplex. I got some on my windshield, and they definitely got some across parts of Palo Pinto. Now, they also got a couple of lightning strikes in southern areas. But you can see there that they actually moved down south. Now, there is a frontal boundary that is draped across parts of Oklahoma. That will come down tomorrow and will give us an additional chance for showers. Look at this. The rest of the day will be dry, but notice how this is going to go down tomorrow. So we have a 20 to 30% chance of seeing a couple of showers tomorrow. Now, very quickly, tonight we'll go down into about the low 80s. Tomorrow, another hot day, but closer to 100 degrees. And here's our 7-day forecast: 101 for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 99.
We are jumping right in with Peter Thomas Roth, Firm X Eye Tightener. It's taken us about a year to get this back, and last time we had it on, it sold out by 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. CBSDeals.com.
You said this is a home run.
This is a home run. So this Firm X, we've got some before afters, went viral because this is an instant way to lift, to smooth, to get rid of the lines and bags around the eyes. Look at these before and afters. Talk about instant magic. Now, it's temporary. This is like makeup.
How long does it last?
You're gonna put hours. So whatever event that you're going to, until you wash it off, it's going to stay on. This has transformed the way people feel. It's non-invasive. There's no pain. There's no downtime. And you get that lift. And now, all of a sudden, the lines, the crow's feet.
They're gone.
You want to know what our secrets are? By the way, who's wearing it? Both of us are. So this actually is going to come along with 3 sets of eye patches that are loaded with ceramides, collagen, caffeine, arnica. Those are really going to give you that nice restful look. But this actually has so many uses. I want you to think about the weddings, the graduations, all of those fun events you have coming.
Season.
It is that season. So right now, $39, 28% off. It's going to sell out.
Okay.
Don't write me at lunchtime and say, where is it?
Go get it.
It's gone. All right.
To get this deal and more, scan the QR code at the top of your screen or head to cbsdeals.com to start shopping now.
CBS News, Texas.
It just did it. It's over there. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it just overtook the command post.
Wildfires exploding in growth in North Texas and across other parts of the state. Evacuations have been underway since the overnight hours. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for CBS News Texas at 11. I'm Karen Borda. When a lot of us went to bed last night, this fire was only a few thousand acres. Now, the Ross fire has spread beyond Palo Pinto County into Jack County, doubling, tripling, and then quadrupling in size. The fire now stands at 50,000 acres. This is happening about an hour's drive west of Fort Worth in a very rural part of North Texas. Let's take a live look now from our chopper, and you can see a lot of scorched land, nothing but blackened land there, and smoke where those wildfires are. And our first alert meteorologist, Nelly Carreño, joins us now. Nelly, I know you've got the latest developments on this fire. You've been watching it closely. And honestly, a lot of people are wondering, did that little bit of rain that we saw this morning, did it help at all?
Minimal help, just a little bit. Of course, we'd rather see this than scorching heat and sunshine. But you can see here on our radar in the last couple of hours, we did get a couple of showers that moved through there. One lightning strike, but it was southern areas of Palo Pinto, not directly over the fire. So it did help just a little bit, but as I mentioned, it is minimal. It will be dry this afternoon. I don't expect any additional rain over that area. Across most of North Texas, we'll have plenty of sunshine and dry conditions. And the bad news is that the humidity will be dropping throughout the rest of the afternoon. It's not too bad right now. It's not too dry, but we're looking at 15 to 25% later on this afternoon. That in combination with highs near 105 and a southerly wind that will pick up and move between 20 to 25 miles per hour. That combination is not good for what's happening across Palo Pinto and also Jack County. And in Jack County, that's where Lacey Beasley is in Jacksboro with more information with what's happening in that area.
Hey, Nellie, we're at the Twin Lakes Rec Center, and their livestock barn is really coming in handy this morning. We've seen some families dropping off their livestock, then heading back out to help. Many families have been told dropping off their livestock all morning long. In fact, I just caught up with one family who lives about 20 minutes away from here in Perrin, who got a 5 a.m. wake-up call from a sheriff's deputy telling them to get out of their house and fast.
He came in and said, we need to get out, and we need to get out now. So we started scrambling, and we had to move approximately 60 Nigerian dwarf goats, 2 horses, and several dogs and cats. And so we were luckily able to get everybody out.
Now, the livestock barn was a lifesaver for the Dean family. As the day goes on, it is filling up with goats, horses, dogs, cats, any animal families can save from the wildfire. And on the drive here, we saw road closures and mineral wells and lots of people fueling up at gas stations. Many people here at the Twin Lakes Rec Center have been dropping off supplies and heading back out to help. Now, for the Dean family, they could see the orange glow of the fire off in the distance last night from their home, and they had ash on their doorstep this morning.
That scares me more than a tornado. I was panicking, but I was trying to keep it together for her, and so I didn't scare the animals.
Now, here at the Twin Lakes Rec Center, you can stop by throughout the day if you're seeking shelter, if you want any supplies, water, Gatorades, they have that inside. As of this hour, we've not heard of any reported damages or injuries. Karen.
Lacey, thank you very much. Thanks for that update. We want to get some more context on the size and the scope of this fire from the Texas Forest Service. Laura Stevens with the Texas A&M Forest Service joins us now over Zoom. And Laura, this fire exploded overnight, growing from just a few thousand acres to now 50,000 acres. Is the state bringing in more resources to fight this massive wildfire?
Hi, thanks for having me. So Texas A&M Forest Service is committed to suppressing this wildfire, and right now we are reallocating resources from different parts of the state and moving them up to the Ross fire.
You know, it seems almost unfathomable that this fire was able to literally, quite literally explode in growth overnight. As we mentioned, it doubled, it tripled, quadrupled in size. Where does this stand in comparison to previous large wildfires in our state? And are these conditions worse than what the service has seen in recent years?
So it's hard to compare one wildfire to every other wildfire in the state because the state is so large and so diverse with the different types of fuels, the topography, and then the environment that these fires are growing or ignited in. So the Ross Fire in particular started under dry conditions, hot conditions. There was wind involved in it. And then also too, you have to look at the topography that also influences the fire behavior as well. So a fire that is driven by wind with just grass is very different than a fire that is driven by heavy brush such as oak or juniper in terrain that is very rocky or hilly. So it is very different. So it's hard to compare one fire to another fire, especially in a state this large as Texas.
Yeah, and what we're seeing in this fire with the Ross Fire, the topography, it is rugged, it is hilly. Are you saying that what's burning the fuel right now, this is juniper and oak? Is that what we're seeing mostly?
We're seeing a mixture of grass, oak, and juniper are going to be your predominant vegetation in this particular area right now.
And what are you guys doing? What are you utilizing in terms of both on the ground and aerial attacks? Are you using mostly water or retardant?
So we're using a combination of fire retardant, water, and then heavy equipment and water on the ground as well.
All right, Laura Stevens with the Texas A&M Forest Service. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this morning. Now let's bring Nellie back in. And Nellie, the fire danger continues today. And we not only have this fire danger, but we also have this extreme heat that we're dealing with.
Exactly. Fortunately, we will go down a few degrees. Yesterday was 109. Today, closer to 104, 105. But it's still extremely hot, especially for fighting this type of fire. So we do have another first alert weather day. I do not think it will be continued through tomorrow, but it is until 9 o'clock this evening due to the extreme heat and also obviously the fire danger. Now you can see here that extreme heat warning encompasses most of North Texas. If you live out in Henderson and Anderson, it is an advisory, but all of us will be dealing with 100+ degree weather, even though we started with clouds and even some showers, some beneficial showers. Not enough, obviously, to put out a fire, but it helped just a little bit across Palo Pinto and also Jack County. Now, right now, we are in the 80s. Now, yesterday, we were already well into the 90s at this time, so this is good. But once we get the sun going all across North Texas, we'll heat up to about 105 across Fort Worth and Dallas and up to the north, some spots even 107. Right now, we have some humidity in the air. We have those showers. But unfortunately, during the day, the relative humidity will drop to about 25%, which is not good. Dry conditions will prevail, and the highs, as I mentioned, 105. And so we'll talk about the fire danger for tomorrow coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, Nellie, thank you very much. An update now to another breaking news story that we're following. 5 people, including a firefighter, were injured during a large apartment fire in Fort Worth. Our Trevor Sahaki is live at the Mariposa Apartments near White Settlement with more on this. So, Trevor, is the fire out now?
Yeah, Karen, the fire is out now. Right now, firefighters are kind of in mop-up mode, and that means basically watching out for hot spots, cleaning up the mess, really. A lot of the fire trucks that were here earlier have since left, although, as you can see behind me, they have been replaced with a couple of fire trucks that just appeared within the last 15 minutes or so. A lot of the hoses, though, have been rolled up, but you can see just how much damage there is, and especially once this truck moves out of the way, you'll be able to see even more of the damage that we have been seeing all morning long, because a lot of this fire happened in the upper floor, what appears to be the roof and attic area, according to the Fort Worth Fire Department. Just a ton of damage to that ceiling area and roof area of this apartment complex. Now, firefighters responded minutes after getting the call around 6 this morning. Officials said it quickly became a 3-alarm fire that the department had to fight defensively. 1 firefighter and 2 people were treated on scene for smoke inhalation, and another 2 people were taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation as well. Fort Worth fire officials estimated about 50 units were impacted by the fire, displacing over 100 residents. Trinity Metro took those residents to an evacuation and reunification center at R.D. Evans Recreation Center off Lackland. Fire officials said this fire spread quickly once it started.
Immediately when the first responding crews got on scene, they had heavy fire already coming through the roof. So the fire already had a jump on us. It was spreading through the attic area throughout. So when they saw that upon arrival, they immediately called for a second alarm to make sure we knew we were going to need extra resources.
Red Cross is on scene at the evacuation center, helping those folks get back on their feet. No word yet on the cause of the fire. Live in Fort Worth, Trevor Sahaki, CBS News, Texas.
Thank you so much, Trevor. New information coming into our newsroom this morning about a shooting last night in which a North Texas law enforcement officer was wounded. Plus, a big move for the owner of an iconic North Texas entertainment attraction.
Your CBS Texas primetime lineup is sponsored by Health Spring Medicare Plans. Put a spring in your step.
A suspect is dead and a police officer is recovering this morning after a chase ended with a shooting at a Sam's Club in Burleson. At last check, that officer was stable after being taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the leg. In this video, you can see customers, well, they were running from this store as police rush in to confront that armed suspect. Now, police say the chase began in Cleburne when officers responded to a report of someone waving a gun. The suspect took off and police followed him on 35W through Alvarado before ending up at the Sam's Club in Burleson just after 7 last night. And that's when those shots were fired. Sam's Club remains closed this morning, but will reopen in just a little bit at noon. The Texas Rangers are investigating the shooting, and we're still waiting for information on the suspect and an update on that officer's recovery. New at 11, Six Flags is relocating its corporate headquarters from Charlotte, North Carolina, back to Arlington, where it all started. The headquarters is going to be in the shadow of Six Flags over Texas. It's going to be at Choctaw Stadium. Six Flags has been using the stadium as part of its corporate offices since 2020. The relocation should wrap up in March of next year. We'll be right back.
Welcome into the CBS News Texas stream, everyone. Ken Molestina here, joining you as we to follow all of the breaking news happening out in Palo Pinto County, west of Fort Worth, as we're keeping a very close eye on what has now been called the Ross Fire. I want to give you a better idea of exactly where all of this is happening, because for folks who live over here, all the way even beyond Parker County and and Tarrant County over in Dallas, I want you to sort of get an idea of where all of this is happening. It's happening again well west of Fort Worth, out here in Palo Pinto County. As you can see, I'll just move up here a little bit. It's right in the northern part of the county, really near Possum Kingdom Lake, where all of this is happening. Now, we have just gotten word just a little bit ago that now there is a house fire that is involved in all of this. We believe this to be the first structure that has been affected by the path of the fire, the Ross fire that has been growing. I want to go ahead and show that to you right now. Because this is an aerial view that we have been watching for the past couple of minutes now, coming in from the CBS News Texas chopper. As you can see there, we can see that there is a house that is now on fire. We have been able to confirm that this house sits right on the edge of some charred land that we believe to be a land that was burned by this Ross fire that we're talking about. This is happening on the 9,000 block of Chickpea Drive. This is going to be directly east of Possum Kingdom Lake. So if you know the area in Grayford, that's the name of the town, that's where all of this is happening. You can see that house at this point is fully engulfed. You can see the heavy, thick black smoke coming out from the top of it. And we do understand that, again, this is one of the only structures right now that we can report that has been affected by the growing wildfire that started sometime late yesterday, overnight into the morning. And of course, now, as you can see, something that fire crews and officials in the state of Texas are now having to fight and having to respond to. I want to give you an update right now. I'll let you know, we are waiting for an update now from state officials. They're going to update the latest numbers on this fire. But as of last check, what we have been reporting is that this fire has now grown to more than 50,000 acres. That is a sizable fire. It is only 5% contained. When this all started yesterday, sometime around the 4 o'clock hour, just to give you some perspective in all of this, we were reporting from what officials were telling us that this fire was somewhere at about 80 to 100 acres. That was sometime around 4 o'clock yesterday on Monday. Now we're talking about this being north of 50,000 acres, only 5% contained. And again, we're having a live look right now from our CBS News Texas chopper of what we believe to be the first structure to be engulfed by this fire, the Ross fire. That is still burning out there in Palo Pinto County. But again, we are waiting to hear from state officials sometime soon. They're going to update some of the numbers, some of the response. Of course, this is something that now has caught the attention of not just people throughout North Texas, but really throughout the entire state and really at this point the nation. We do know that Governor Abbott has put out some information saying that he is thanking the Trump administration for their swift approval of a grant. So the reason I bring this up is because now we're talking about federal money that is being used to try and fund some resources to fight this fire. That was an announcement that Governor Abbott made earlier today. He's also talking about, having everything ready to go to throw at this fire in the way of resources, in the way of help, in the way of fire suppression and crews throughout the state that are moving out there. I want to bring you back out. We're going to, by the way, going to continue to watch this. We're also waiting again to hear of this news conference, so we're going to cut into that in just a second. But I'm joined now by First Alert meteorologist Nelly Carreño to talk a little bit more about the specifics of this fire. Nelly, we've been talking about this, right? How hot it is out there.
Yes.
How the grass is just dry, how these are the perfect conditions for something like this to happen, even though we're not having the massive wind that we typically see And still, Nellie, we're talking about a 50,000-acre fire that's burning out of control in Palo Pinto.
Really incredible. Yes. So yesterday we had some winds, 20 to 25 miles per hour.
Okay.
We knew it would be breezy. We don't say windy until it's about 30 miles an hour.
Sure.
So it was breezy. And so it did. We knew that it was going to grow rapidly, but we really were optimistic that overnight, as temperatures dropped into the low 80s and the wind died down overnight, that we would be able to get a handle on this fire.
That's
that
not what
firefighters,
happened, yeah.
And that is not what happened. Unfortunately, it did drop to the 80s, and we did have the wind die down, and we even had a few showers that helped us minimally, but give us better conditions during the morning. But the vegetation is just so dry. Yeah. Temperatures have been so high. The humidity in the air dropped overnight so much that that whole combination did not help, and that's what happened. We went to bed, and within an hour, it went from a spark to a 5-alarm fire, which is
and this morning, I mean, I think a lot of us were hoping for the best, to wake up to better news. But as soon as we dialed in, took a look at what was going on.
Exactly.
Now we're talking about 50,000 plus. I keep saying plus because I'm almost positive. I mean, we have to wait for the official word, but I'm almost positive they're going to announce that it's a lot bigger than 50,000, which is the last figure that we had.
And we got that about 9:30 in the morning.
And
it is
we're
now
coming up on a little past noon now.
Right. So I really think we're going to get a much bigger number. Unfortunately, I know they are calling in for help across the area, but conditions will actually worsen. So if you can see our graphics back here, I wanted to show you what is happening. First of all, you can see here that we have the extreme threat. If you want to come in here, though, Ken, I wanted to show you the area that we're seeing in the extreme. It's Parker and Tarrant. Palo Pinto is supposed to be a little bit less, very high to extreme, and also Wise and over into Jack County. They're in the very high area, and that will drop by tomorrow. But the reason it's like this is because we haven't had 40 days now, consecutive days without a drop of rain at DFW Airport.
I know, that's just brutal.
Right. But this morning when I woke up and I saw the showers that we did have in the forecast, but they tracked right along that area, I thought somebody's prayers are being answered,
I'm going to move just a little bit over this way because I think I was covering the spot, Nellie, exactly of where this fire is. So just let me swing over here for a second. But you have some other data here.
Okay. Yeah, let me show you the map that I just passed because I wanted to show you exactly where the fire is. Here we go. Okay, here is Fort Worth, right? If we head towards, this is Parker County, this is Palo Pinto. They have it in the very high to extreme area, eastern areas and northeastern areas of Palo Pinto. And then Wise County is under extreme. We do have another fire that's a little more under control in Wise County. By far, the Ross fire is the largest one. And then as we look over towards Jack County, southeastern areas where the fire was in the extreme area. It still is. But this was sent out yesterday before everything really got going. So they already knew that that particular area was under the gun because of the dry vegetation and the high temperatures. Now, this morning we mentioned we did get some showers specifically over Palo Pinto, which I thought was amazing and great. It didn't help us much because actually there's something called virga, which is when the rain starts to evaporate before it hits the ground. Some did hit the ground, but a lot of it evaporated. And that virga actually causes cooling that makes the winds at the surface kind of move around and speed up. And that's bad for firefighters. So we saw a little bit of that. That didn't help, but some of the rain did help to get some moisture in the air and some moisture on the ground. But this afternoon, temperatures are going back to 105. Something that was good because of the cloud cover and a couple of showers, that firefighters got a little bit of a break. Instead of having temperatures in the morning in the 90s, they were dealing with mid-80s. So that's great. That helped out, but now that's over. We have full sunshine out there. The wind's coming in from the south and temperatures are going up. I think the highest would be 105. Most of the area will be close to 100, 101. And the humidity. During the morning hours, it always happens, or normally happens, that overnight into the early morning hours, you have a little more moisture in the air, a little more humidity. And throughout the rest of the afternoon, that's going to drop between 15 and 25%. And the winds that died down overnight are picking up again. But I did want to show you this and get Ken's input because Palo Pinto is a very dry area, but it does have a lot of dry grass and a lot of juniper. And we actually talked to an expert about this from Texas A&M during the 11 o'clock show, that there's a lot of cedar and oak and juniper, and that particular type of vegetation really helps it to fire up quickly, and it could be very dangerous because it also can fire upward into the canopy. And then the brush and the mesquite, that woody vegetation.
Yeah, right.
Makes it last longer.
Sure. It keeps it, it's like the Kindle, it keeps it going, yeah.
Exactly. So the grass brings in the speed, and then the juniper and cedar and oak intensity.
Yeah.
And then the mesquite, the woody vegetation, it makes it flow.
And we've seen, as you've mentioned, Nellie, just how fast this thing spread. And, you know, it all makes sense when you outline all of that. I want to take you back out once again to the video that we were seeing just a little bit ago from the CBS News Texas chopper of the one house out in Palo Pinto County that has caught fire. Again, this is what we believe to be the first structure involved in all of this. So, you know, I don't know that calling this good news or bad news is the way to do it, but for the most part, we were talking about open land.
Right.
There were no structures up until this morning, really. So again, good in the way that, you know, we're not talking about communities with a lot of homes that are affected, but obviously we are talking about ranch land. We're talking about private land out there that has burned through. But this is the first time that we're actually seeing a structure. This is obviously a sizable home that's out there in that area. We understand that this is in the Grayford, the town of Grayford, on the 9,000 block of Chickpea Drive, out there in that area, just east of Possum Kingdom Lake.
And as you mentioned, exactly, you can't call any of this good news, but as of the last briefing, there had not been any injuries with this particular fire. Obviously, we'll get the latest information, but now we are looking at these structures that are becoming involved.
As we continue to take a look at these live pictures here of this home that we're talking about, I want to sort of go through a list. So just follow with me here as we take a look at this picture. This is information that was put up by Governor Abbott earlier today. This is a list of the kind of resources that have already been deployed out here. So I want you to listen to this here briefly. I'm going to go through this list real fast. This gives you a better idea of the kind of response that is taking place out there. So we're going to start off with the Texas A&M Forest Service. They have a Texas, what they call an interstate fire mutual aid system that has already been activated. They've got state, local, they've even got out-of-state firefighters and support personnel that have already responded to the area. They've got heavy equipment with them. They've got bulldozers, motor grades, all kinds of things. Additionally, Texas Department of State Health Services. This is a Texas Emergency Medical Task Force is what they're calling it. This is a team that has wildland fire support packages. They have ambulances, they have medics, and they've got all-terrain vehicles. And that's going to play a key part in getting to some of these hot spots, as you were saying, you know, just because of the terrain out there. The Texas National Guard is helping out with this as well. So we've got the military involved. They've got Black Hawk and Chinook helicopters that have firefighting capabilities. That's also been called in. Texas Department of Transportation, they've got monitoring personnel. They're taking a look at road conditions out there. The Texas Department of Public Safety, so we're talking about highway patrol troopers. They're patrolling the roadways out there. They're helping any stranded motorists. Got Texas Parks and Wildlife, so that's game wardens, that's state park police, and they also have aircraft that respond to these kinds of things as well. In addition to that, Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension Service. So this is a disaster assessment and recovery team. So they're out there as well. They're looking at things like agriculture, and they're looking at the needs of livestock. That's really important because that's a big concern for folks who live out in this area. You've got the Public Utility Commission of Texas is involved in this. Power outages, right? That's what they're taking a look at. They got the Railroad Commission of Texas. They're monitoring the state's natural gas supply and the communication with the oil and gas industry. As we know, out in these open areas, there's a lot of that infrastructure that exists out there. Somebody has to take care of that and vouch for that, and that's what the Railroad Commission is doing. And then lastly, and this is no surprise here, but, you know, TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, you know, they're going to be monitoring the quality of the air, the water out there, you know, any kind of waste management that, you know, results as a consequence of everything that we're seeing out here. So the reason I bring all of that up is here, you know, we're watching one house burn right now, but I say this to reemphasize, the state is throwing everything that they can right now at this.
I think it's appropriate.
It is appropriate, and it's also telling because I think a lot of people, including us, were surprised at just how big this thing grew.
Exactly.
Overnight.
Even us, the meteorologists, we were hoping, not sure, but the overnight they would be able to get a little bit of a handle on it, because
some sort of a break.
Meteorologically the conditions were much better overnight.
Yeah.
And again, we hate to say this, but it could have been a lot worse. What do I mean by that? You know, the drought monitor has come in, and usually in August we have a severe or an extreme drought. We don't have that. We have dry conditions, but we don't have an extreme drought. We could have had yesterday winds up to 40 miles an hour.
Yeah,
we didn't
thank
have that.
goodness we didn't. I mean, imagine how much more this would have spread. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, what we're doing is we're talking about the Ross fire burning out in Palo Pinto County. As of last check, we're talking about 50,000 plus acres. It is only 5% contained. That's not what you want to hear right now, but unfortunately that is the reality of it. We are standing by waiting to get new information from the state as far as numbers, as far as resources and assets that are being deployed out there, so that we can get a better understanding of where we sit right now in this situation at 12:27 here on this Tuesday. So I do want to correct myself a little bit here, because earlier I did mention that we were going to toss to a news conference. I got that information wrong. So it's not a news conference that we're waiting for. We're waiting on news coming out of the state in the form of data, in the form of information that they're going to share with us. We will, of course, share that with you just as soon as we get that. But that's what we're waiting on right now. And again, Nelly, I think the biggest surprise for a lot of people here is going to be, especially folks who live in the Metroplex that maybe can't see this fire because it is a ways away. But I think the big surprise is going to be the speed at which it moved and just how large it actually got. Because 50,000, that's a huge, huge, huge amount.
Huge fire. And actually, you know, we've been talking about this extreme fire danger for over a week. And we've been talking about don't drag chains. If you smoke, be extra careful. And we have been doing pretty well. We've had numerous days with this extreme fire threat because of the low humidity, because of the high temperatures. We've been at 109 for 2 days in a row. And until now, it had been fairly quiet. So when this got going, it took that vegetation as fuel. Temperatures were high even overnight. They only dropped into the low 80s. Now, this morning, we got a few drops of rain, and that dropped temperatures a little bit. And you can see here how those showers moved through areas of Palo Pinto during the morning hours. But now it is extremely dry. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. So here is Jack County. A few showers moved in between 9, 10 o'clock, and then moved to the south. There were a couple of lightning strikes, but not in the area where the fire was. And that rain, it helped us, but it was minimal, as we mentioned. But we did have a couple of showers that brought down temperatures. Hopefully that helped firefighters during the morning hours. But now we are heating up. Notice we have cloud cover across parts of Hood County and Johnson and Ellis. But now over into Palo Pinto and Wise County, it's nothing but sunshine. The clouds are really thinning out. And just imagine all of these firefighters and the National Guard and everybody that's fighting this fire. You have all of that equipment on, Ken, and the heat of the fire, and then you have 105 over you. That's what's going to make it also so difficult for them to fight.
I'll share some information with you here. And if we can get pictures of the fire, by the way, if we can get that up, either from the helicopter producer folks or just any other video that we have of it, because you know, when we look at it, look at that. Now, oh, my goodness, that house, I mean, it was long gone a while ago, but I just feel so bad for the homeowners out there.
It was a beautiful home. You can tell it was a beautiful home.
Absolutely. We're taking a look at that now. Look, here's what we know about these kinds of firefights, right? And I revert a little bit back to some knowledge, some training that I had once upon a time when I worked as a volunteer firefighter. And when it comes to wildland firefighting, grass fires, essentially, and forest fires, things like that. The idea, especially in open areas like this, is to try and get a little bit ahead of the fire, and in the dirt, in the ground, you actually cut out fire lines, right? And that's sort of where you meet the fire. You wait for it to get there, and once it gets to that point, that's where you attack it, and you cut lines thick enough that it doesn't cross over, right? And that's where you have your fire suppression. So you almost understand that a certain amount of land is going to char, is going to burn, and you kind of sort of wait for it to come to you when you draw the fire lines around it, depending on the direction in which the fire is moving. But what I'm assuming is happening with these firefighters right now is that it's moved so fast It's so hard to get that work done. It's hard to sort of forecast that.
Right.
Because it's moving way faster than they can get crews down.
You can't get ahead of it.
Right, exactly.
You're actually running away from it because it's moving so quick.
And that's a real concern right now for all of these crews. I mean, you talk about all of the equipment that is being called in, all the resources that are being used, and still, 50,000 acres, 5% containment. Obviously, those are not good numbers. I'm assuming we're going to get an update sometime soon here. As soon as we get those new numbers, we'll get them over to you. But, that plus what you were talking about, I mean, just working in 109, 110 degree conditions for these crews out there. I mean, they're up against everything that is going to halt them, everything that's going to sort of hold them back. They're having to deal with all of it, and it's just, it's brutal.
Right. Well, I do have some positive news. If we can come back here in the studio, I'm going to show you yesterday at this hour, we were dealing with temperatures at 100. We were already at 100 degrees around noon, 1 o'clock. But right now, it's a little bit better, right? Look, 89 in Fort Worth, which means over in Palo Pinto, upper 80s to about 90. Yes, obviously it is extremely hot. But if this fire was this strong, this large yesterday, they would have been dealing already with 101. So the cloud cover from this morning, the little bit of rain, that's going to help firefighters and the National Guard. But the reason I feel like they are bringing in everybody for this fire, besides the fact that it grew so rapidly, is that Mother Nature is fighting against them at the moment. What do I mean by that? That this morning we had a little bit of humidity. Humidity is dropping, temperature's going up, the wind is going up. So all of the ingredients that you need for this fire to feed and grow, they're there. And so I really feel that everything that Ken mentioned that they're bringing in order to fight it is what's necessary. And you notice that we have an extreme heat warning in effect, even though right now it's not so hot. We're in the upper 80s to about 90. We will continue to heat up now that the clouds have moved out. So this extreme heat warning is going on until 9 p.m. Now the dew points, the way we measure the humidity in the air, I'd rather see this than 50s. 50s is what we'll have later on in the day. That's when the moisture drops, and the fire loves that. It doesn't want any moisture in the air. It wants it to be dry so it can get going. The vegetation is dry and the wind's starting to pick up. How do I know that? The reason we don't have some numbers in these little circles is because the wind is below 15 miles an hour. So if it's below 15 miles an hour, it doesn't show a number. But notice now, 17 in Dallas, 20 in Fort Worth, 18 over in Bowie. That means the wind is starting to pick up, and we knew that was going to happen this afternoon. And so that wind is going to start to help spread some of that around. And it's moving from the south to the north. That's why this started in Palo Pinto yesterday, about 50 miles northwest of Fort Worth, and it's moved over into a different county, into Jack County. So here you can see the forecast for the next couple of hours, Ken. We're going to see some wind gusts up to 25, and then tomorrow, this is good news, finally. Notice how the threat goes down. So once again, Parker and Palo Pinto, why is it going down? Well, the wind is going to go down and the temperature is going to go down. It's not going to be cool tomorrow, but it's not going to be as hot. So this is what we want to see for Palo Pinto and Parker. So instead of very high or extreme, it's going to moderate to high.
That'll be a much-needed break for crews out there, as you mentioned. At the very least, the temperature not being 109.
Exactly.
Like we have been seeing. I want to show you a map because we did get some information now of something that is going on right now. Take a good look at this map here. We understand that Texas A&M task forces right now, they have set up along these highways that you see highlighted there, and they have set up to create physical barriers to contain the fire. In part, they're telling us to protect the town of Grayford. The town of Grayford is right where that house that we were looking at that was burning. So now we've got crews with Texas A&M task forces. They're setting up there, and they're specifically along Highway 180, if you can see there. We're talking Highway 337 and 254. The idea here is you set up sort of barriers as much as you can, and you're basically creating a wall so that this fire doesn't pass you and go into the town of Grayford. And that's what they're trying to do right now. It's a tactic that is used a lot in wildland firefighting. The question now becomes, though, how many of these resources do they have? How good of a barrier can they put up, and in a short amount of time? Because they're up against the clock right now as this fire continues to move.
I love having your perspective.
Towards the town of
fact
Grayford.
That you know about this and in your previous life, you had to
if
deal
I'm
with the
remembering
situation.
correctly,
Yes.
you know, and it has been some time, but that's essentially what's going on here with some of these crews. And you know, we're rooting for everybody out there. We're praying for the best, and clearly we know though the elements that Mother Nature, you know, what they're up against. We know the terrain out there. We know that this isn't going to be something that is just easily done. But again, you know, this is the result of it. And again, right now, this is another picture from the chopper of that one home that we were talking about, just east of PK Possum Kingdom Lake. And as far as we know, Nellie, again, I think this is the only structure so far.
That
we've seen burn.
And one thing that's encouraging as we take a live look, yes, there are some dry bushes there, but we also see some green, right? Previous years, when we had temperatures 109, like 2023, we had an extreme drought. There is some green out there. Around this house specifically, it looks like there is some dry brush, but it's not just completely dry all around them. So that could help a little bit. Also, the little bit of cloud cover and rain that we got this morning. And so far in that particular area, the winds are about 15 to 18 miles per hour. Now, you tell me as a previous firefighter, you probably want them calm, but 18 miles per hour is not.
Yeah, I mean, you want zero, right?
You want zero.
But at this point, I think, you know, what they're looking out for is any shift in wind, any at all, because the ground is so prime for everything that you've talked about.
We'll have that tomorrow.
Right.
We actually have a front coming in tomorrow, but it won't be until tomorrow afternoon, and they can prepare for that.
Sure, and in some of these cases, though, you know, like you said, I mean, all it takes is a change in wind direction, and then now you're facing more spread in a different direction, and so that's what they're having to deal with out there, and that's why when you go through the list of resources that Governor Abbott has deployed out there, it might sound like a lot to a lot of folks out there. It might sound like overkill, but I can tell you it's not. They need all of that, and quite frankly, they probably need more, depending on what comes out of this update. We know that state officials and Texas A&M fire officials, they were supposed to give us an update sometime around noon as to the latest numbers and the latest data coming out of this Ross fire. We're still waiting on that. So as soon as we get it, we'll let you know. It's 12:38 right now. Still haven't heard, but we're standing by for it.
And we do want to say, we actually have a map down here on the floor, but we have, I think, another map that we can take, because if people live in southern areas of Palo Pinto, I want you to kind of breathe easy, because the wind is coming in from the south. So this fire is moving towards the northeast.
So you're talking about people like in Strawn, Gordon, and those areas down southern.
Right, because I'm sure everybody in Palo Pinto is nervous, thinking, hey, is this coming towards us?
Well, we can show that. So, I mean, we're up here. This is the northern part of the county. We're talking about folks down in this area, down this way here.
Exactly.
If you get down in this area of the county, you know, you're saying you're closer to 20.
The wind's coming in from the south.
Right down in here.
So the fire is going towards the north. So it's going into Jack County, which is already in parts of Jack County. But this, we're not going to have a major wind shift until tomorrow because of the frontal boundary that's coming in, and then the wind will shift around, but that won't be until tomorrow. And so hopefully they'll have a better handle of it. But you can see it here beneath me. This is kind of central northern areas of Palo Pinto. The wind is coming in straight from the south, and so it's moving. The fire is spreading towards the northeast. So obviously, if you're north of this fire, then yes, that's when you really need to be.
Nellie, I'm wondering, and I know that you're talking about a bit of a respite, right, with the temperatures dropping a little bit, but what more do you think the ground or the atmosphere needs to really cause a shift in which these risk factors start to significantly dwindle? I know we're hoping for the best, but what would you need, like a week, several days of this?
Well, you know, the latest drought monitor showed dry conditions and I would say minor drought. None of us have an extreme drought or anything like that because we got so much rain in May and June, and then July we started to drought, and then August has been just terrible. And the temperatures were also not bad at the beginning of the summer. We really got hit this month of August. We've had so many days without 100. Now, we said there's a respite, but we're dropping temperatures to 100. We're not going to 95 or 92. We're just dropping a little bit. But what we don't need is the wind. It's been active today. Tomorrow will be a little more calm. So that's going to help us. We do have temperatures dropping a little bit, but any little bit counts. But any major changes that will just help completely wipe this, this threat, I don't see for a while. I don't. In the next 10 days, I have temperatures at between 98 to 103. Next 10 days.
And I remember specifically yesterday when Nellie was giving her forecast, we were kind of smiling that there was a 20% chance of rain.
But
I mean, we could use the rain, right? But even that, it's only 20%.
It's only 20%, but I got a little bit on my windshield on the way in.
Yeah, so did I. It was just a sprinkle. It wasn't hardly anything, really.
And then when I looked at the radar and I saw the showers going right, because some people didn't get a drop, but Palo Pinto got about 6 or 7 showers and even a thunderstorm. And so I said, oh, somebody's praying over Palo Pinto because,
yeah, sure, right.
Because I mean, the fact that those were, so the odds were not there for them and they did get a little bit of rain. So hopefully, I mean, hopefully we get some good news, but it's just not looking good the rest of the afternoon evening because conditions will worsen meteorologically.
I'll let you know that we do have crews positioned. They're out there working right now. They're trying to get a handle on, exactly what's going on down there on the ground, so they can bring us more images and more stories of the people that are directly affected by it.
But there are road closures, right?
But not only road closures. You have to be careful how close we ourselves get to it because the speed at which some of these fires are moving at, you may be in what you think is a safe spot for 1 second, and then a few minutes later, now you're not. Right now, you're caught right in the middle of it.
That's what we're talking about. The Virgo, which is the rain that evaporates.
Right.
It does do evaporational cooling, and that's at the surface. And as that goes down, it makes the winds kind of speed up and change at the surface briefly, not the whole thing, but briefly. But that could be dangerous for firefighters as well.
So it's been a very active, less than 24 hours now, because we haven't even hit the 24-hour mark since we first heard about this, and really started to get eyes on it. I want to give you a bit of an idea of how we got to this point now. Yesterday, we heard there was a bit of a wildfire burning out in Palo Pinto County right at about this time or so, not too, maybe around 10 o'clock or so, I think, or just before 10. So maybe actually 24 hours now. We got word of it. We sent a helicopter out there to go have a look. At the time, we were reporting, what was it, 80 acres, I think? The first report was 80 acres. Then somehow, that turned into 250 at around 4 o'clock. And I specifically remember our 4 o'clock newscast yesterday. We were talking about 250 acres, and then by 5 o'clock, it was somewhere north of 100,000 acres. Yes. Sorry, not 100,000 acres, 1,000 acres. And then shortly after that, I think it was like 1,500 we were saying. Right. And then now we're at 50,000. So again, the reason I bring that up, not to confuse you all, sorry for the misspeak on that, but I cannot emphasize enough, Nellie, how quickly this is all moving.
And I think even the government officials and the firefighters on the ground were surprised by it because usually when you see a fire like this explode, it's because you have these 40-mile-per-hour winds, right?
Yeah, right.
Very windy conditions, or you have an extreme drought and it's just like fuel. Now, we do have some dry grass out there and dry brush, but it's been worse many times before. And so I think we didn't anticipate it growing so quickly, especially when temperatures dropped overnight.
Now, based on the science that obviously you all study and that you look at, absent all of this wind, we can almost deduce that the reason it spread so fast is because of the ground condition, right?
Yes.
I mean, if the wind isn't there, then something else has to be there. The fuel, the dried out vegetation.
And particularly what kind they have in Palo Pinto. Juniper is very flammable. And so as it hits that juniper or that oak, it really speeds up. It's not just dry grass that is getting eaten up by this fire. So the vegetation, the specific type of vegetation in that area, the winds that picked up a little bit, the 109 temperatures that are just incredible. All of that came together. And then the low humidity, that's another thing that we talked about, that usually we see dew points in the 50s when it's November or October.
Yeah, sure.
In August, we have a little more humidity in the air, usually at this time in August, and that's just not happening. So everything's coming together. Now, I mentioned that the winds are going to pick up a little bit. We're not looking at 30-mile-per-hour winds today, 20 to 25, just enough to make it more difficult, but not, hopefully, not so just pushing it along like it did.
All eyes, unfortunately, for bad reason, but all eyes right now are in Palo Pinto County. our hearts and our prayers are going out to all the folks out there, all the communities in Palo Pinto and Jack County that are now being affected by this wildfire, the Ross fire. And again, 50,000 plus acres as of last check. Officials confirming to us the last time that they spoke to us that it's only at 5% containment. So they have a long way to go. We're hoping for the best, Nellie, but I dread, the information that's going to come out here soon. There was supposed to be an update and information coming out from Texas state officials sometime at around noon, is what they told us. We've sort of been on standby for that. It's 12:45 now. We're waiting for that information. Just as soon as we get it, we'll get it right to you. But just so you know, we're waiting for that.
I did want to show a slight chance of rain for tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
So let me show you a little bit of that. We can go to the monitor over here, and if we could put our graphics up. I wanted to show you kind of what we are looking at. What we're looking at. Okay, as we're going to wait for just a second as they get those graphics up. But tomorrow we're going to have a frontal boundary, a weak frontal boundary that's going to push through from the north to the south. But it will give us an additional 20 to 30% chance of rain, including Palo Pinto and Parker and Wise and the Metroplex. I hope some of you got a little bit of rain this morning. That will be beneficial, but it will also cause a wind shift. We were just talking to Ken about that. That is something that they don't want to see, because then the path of this fire could change, and obviously how they fight it will also change. However, it will help us because it will drop temperatures a little bit. So we're going to zoom out so you can see here what's happening. This is one of our radars showing some of the showers that moved through during the overnight hours and into this morning. They moved through from north to south, but this is what I wanted to show you. So for the rest of the afternoon, it will be mostly dry, but we have a 10% chance of an additional shower. Overnight, the clouds will come in. This will be great for our firefighters, because this will help them, shield a little bit from the sun. It will keep temperatures lower like it did today. And this is 8 o'clock in the morning. And look, we have a little bit of activity as that frontal boundary comes in. So notice, I think this particular computer model is being a little too optimistic with the coverage, the amount of coverage, but I would say 20 to 30% chance of seeing additional showers. So this would be great for the dry vegetation and to keep temperatures a little bit lower. Notice the frontal boundary. That's going to actually move in from north to south during the late afternoon to the evening hours tomorrow for all of North Texas, and then we'll have still some cloud cover. So I really think we'll be dropping these temperatures tomorrow between 99 to 100. Obviously, that's still extremely hot, and I do know that. But there is, you can see here, 101. I'm probably going to bump up that number from 20 to 30% chance of rain, and then that 101 to 100. And then we have some 99s, which is hopeful, because I think that the 109, the 2 consecutive days of 109, the lack of rain, 40 days, Ken, of no rain, measurable rain at DFW Airport. We're going to have to check if today all we have to get is 1/100th of an inch in order for it to be considered actual rain, and it has to rain at DFW Airport.
Right, that's the official record.
That's the official. It rained all around it,
Yeah.
so, but I do need to check that, and that could maybe close off those 40 days of consecutive dry conditions. But I think all of that together, these record highs that we've had, the lack of rain, the winds that picked up, the low humidity, all of that is just
That's just a perfect recipe for all of the disaster that we're seeing taking place out there with this wildfire in Palo Pinto County. Nellie, I wish we had other better news, right, to offer folks, but this is the latest news. This is the most accurate information that we have here, based on the models that you're seeing, based on everything that you've been forecasting, and not just today, but really we have been talking about this dry spell for a really, really long time now. 109 degrees 2-3 days in a row, and we've been above 100 for how long now? So I mean, 105, 109.
We've
sure,
had
it's
31
a bit of
days. Today would be day 31 of 100 degrees or higher throughout the year.
So official triple digit.
Right, and the average amount for the whole year is 20 days.
Yeah.
So we're 11 days above average when we reach 100 today. Otherwise, it's 30 days. But it has been unusually hot. And then we had those 2 consecutive days of 109. We hadn't seen that since 2023.
Right.
So it's been a while, right, where we had that.
And even though, as you were saying, even though it's going to drop for the 109 that we're seeing today and yesterday, it's still going to be 100. I mean, so we're still in triple digits.
Right.
So
well, today we'll get to about 103 to 105. Still extremely hot, especially when you're trying to fight these type of fires. And then tomorrow, hopefully the cloud cover will help us, the drop in temperature, and then the amount of help that they're getting. You went through a whole list of people that are coming to help, including the National Guard, you said, right? And I'm sure
National Guard is here.
Firefighters.
You have some of the state's most elite emergency management agencies in Texas Task Force, in the Texas Division on Emergency Management. They're on the ground as well. You've got everything that the governor, he made an announcement earlier, everything that he can deploy, that he can currently throw at this, to include out-of-state firefighters that are coming in as well to try and help out with the situation. I want to bring up another interesting point here, Nellie, just for point of perspective, since we're watching and talking here and all of this, because we've been watching this house burn for the better part of, well, actually coming up on an hour now, because we're getting close to 1 o'clock now. First and foremost, I should tell you, this is the helicopters over this, but this is a very difficult structure to get to. Right. So you're not going to see the kind of fire response on this like you would in Dallas or anything like that. Also, at the time when all of this was happening and when we got wind of it, this house was pretty much all gone. At this point, you just let it go. That's the tactic that they're going after. You don't see any water streams on it. You don't see anybody dumping any water on it, because at this point, the foregone conclusion is that this house, it's just going to burn. And it's probably safer at this point to just go ahead and let that burn out and protect anything around it. I pray and I hope to God that there was nobody inside of that, or if they were, that they were able to get out on time. We'd have no information on that. That's why I'm saying that.
But that is one good thing to reiterate, that as of our the last information that we got earlier today, there had not been any injuries associated with this particular fire, which is great news considering the strength and how large this fire is. Of course, we are going to get an update, and hopefully that stays the same. But yes, this is one of the first structures that we've seen actually catch on fire. And of course, Ken was mentioning that they are just probably letting it burn. But I just imagine the family watching this, that is their memories, that is their life.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. So one structure is one too many. But if we can keep it at no injuries with so many acres burned. And hopefully they're keeping their animals safe. That's something that is an undertaking, getting all the cattle out of that area.
Just that within itself is something. And again, that's something that that there are specific groups with the state right now that are working on that. The questions like what to do with livestock, how big is the fire itself, where the evacuation orders, we have answered all of that for you. So I want to make sure that folks know that we have a live article on our website right now, cbsnewstexas.com. Go ahead and click on that. Go to the website, check that out. You're going to have a basic, one sheet, as we call it, answering all of the major questions. And again, we're talking about just how big this fire is, so you have an idea exactly what parts of Palo Pinto and Jack County are affected. So we've got it drawn out there. We've got road maps for you, so you see exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about the areas that are under evacuation. That's very important because that can change at any moment. And as soon as we get that information, we're updating it live for you as well.
That's the people that live in Weiss and Jack. If I'm watching this right now, I would say, is it coming here?
And I'm sure that's what people are thinking about. We're thinking about that as well. That's why we have all this information for you. What to do with your livestock? What is the wildfire risk throughout other parts of North Texas? I'm sure at this point, even if you're not in Palo Pinto County or Jack County, you're also thinking, what if this sparks in my neighborhood tomorrow?
Well, the grass next to my house, it's completely dry. And so, but we do want to mention once again that this, as of right now, the fire is moving north. It is moving north because the wind is coming in from the south and pushing it that way. So if you're in southern Palo Pinto County, if you are in Hood County, if you're in Johnson or Ellis, this is not right now.
We're talking, it's coming from right at about here where we are, and it's moving north. So we're going to step backwards, right? I mean, this is the northerly direction, so it's coming this way.
If you live in Jack and Weiss, that's why they have to be a little more alert. Make sure that you go to our webpage because we do have all the details of what's happening. But if you are in Parker County, you can breathe right now. This is not moving towards the east. If you are west of it, this is moving northeast, and it's simply because of the winds. And the winds have been fairly calm all morning.
Yeah.
They're starting to get a little bit stronger. We don't have any 25-mile-per-hour winds yet, like we did yesterday. That's good news.
Yeah.
But if you are in any of those counties, if you are in Johnson or Ellis or Parker, you can kind of, breathe easy.
Yeah.
But just make sure you stay informed.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, to that point, just one more time, CBSNewsTexas.com. We've got this entire article there for you right now. We're updating it for you just as quickly as we can, as it needs to be updated. But we're answering all of the major concerns right now, all of the major questions that you might have. So please go ahead and check that out just as soon as you have a moment if you have any questions on this. For right now, though, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. Again, we are waiting to hear official updated numbers from Texas state officials. As soon as that happens, we will get it to you right here on the stream. We'll do it on air, online, and on our website, CBSNewsTexas.com. We're keeping a real close eye on all of this. We are praying for everyone involved. Our hearts are with everyone and our thoughts as well, but we'll chat with you soon.
North Texas isn't the only part of the state dealing with wildfires right now. In central Texas, the conditions are dangerous, too. The Turnersville Fire Department, which is west of Waco, posted this video, I should say, of the Rio Escondido fire. Now, this started burning yesterday in Hamilton County. The Texas Game Wardens posted that 23 game wardens have been helping with road closures and evacuation efforts. 1,500 acres have burned with 0% containment. And one more look from the CBS News Texas chopper surveying the Ross fire that's burned more than 50,000 acres so far. Evacuations are still in place for South Jack County, which is more than an hour west-northwest of Fort Worth. The fire is only about 5% of that scorched earth. And when we've seen that the course of this fire, it started as a 25-acre fire yesterday, Nellie, and it ballooned, it blossomed to 50,000 acres overnight.
It went from a spark to a 5-alarm fire within 1 hour.
Right.
That is incredible. And we had some winds to 25 miles per hour, but we didn't have 40-mile-per-hour winds or anything like that.
Right.
So it's just really incredible. But the best thing happened today. We got a little bit of rain. We haven't seen rain, measurable rain, for 40 days at DFW Airport. So it really was incredible to see at least a couple of showers over Palo Pinto and Jack County. You know, just a couple of months ago, we had green grass all over North Texas, lots of rain in parts of our area across June and now into July. But in August, we really started to dry out. And now this is what it looks like, extremely dry grass. So we know that that is fuel for the fire. So taking a look at what we can expect. Today, the winds will start to pick up. We're talking 20 to 25 miles per hour. Any little spark can really get these fires going. And as we saw, and we mentioned that the fire went from a spark to 5 alarms within 1 hour. Hopefully, they'll be able to get it under control, but we are really looking at the possibility of this fire continuing throughout the day and into tomorrow, unfortunately. And these firefighters will have to deal with these conditions. Heat, 105 until tomorrow when it starts to go down just a little bit. The temperature will be closer to 102, 100. So still very hot. But I wanted to show you this. What is fueling the fire? We talked a little bit about this during the start of our newscast. Dry grass. It ignites easily and carries the fire rapidly. We have juniper and cedar. Flames become more intense because of that particular type. Brush and mesquite, that woody vegetation, really burns hotter and longer than anything else. And then we're looking at that speed and intensity, and that becomes that large fire. And that's why we have an extreme fire danger once again today. That and temperatures that will go up. It still feels okay right now. We are at 87 in Dallas. Fort Worth is at 89 yesterday, and the day before we were well into the 90s. So it's a little bit better, but because of the sunshine and the wind coming in from the south, we'll go up to about 104, 105 later on. And the dew point, which is we measure the humidity in the air, it will drop throughout the day today. We'll have very low humidity. That in combination with the wind, which right now it's gusting up to 20 miles per hour in Fort Worth, but that will also start to ramp up. That is the reason why, once again, we have that extreme fire danger that it does encompass Fort Worth, Tarrant into Parker. Palo Pinto is between very high and extreme, obviously also in Jack County and Collin County. So we need to continue to be careful. Now, tomorrow, that threat goes down just a little bit. The temperature will go down. We'll have light winds. We'll have a little more humidity. It won't be great conditions, but they will be better tomorrow, and that will hopefully help our firefighters. So let's go ahead and take a look at what else we can expect for the rest of the afternoon into the evening hours. You can see here we have an extreme heat warning through 9 p.m. I do not think it will be extended through tomorrow because the temperature will go down below that threshold of 105. Look at this. We had a few showers even in the Metroplex. I got some on my windshield, and they definitely got some across parts of Palo Pinto. Now, they also got a couple of lightning strikes in southern areas. But you can see there that they actually moved down south. Now, there is a frontal boundary that is draped across parts of Oklahoma. That will come down tomorrow and will give us an additional chance for showers. Look at this. The rest of the day will be dry, but notice how this is going to go down tomorrow. So we have a 20 to 30% chance of seeing a couple of showers tomorrow. Now, very quickly, tonight we'll go down into about the low 80s. Tomorrow, another hot day, but closer to 100 degrees. And here's our 7-day forecast. 101 for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 99.
We are jumping right in with Peter Thomas Roth. Firm X Eye Tightener. It's taken us about a year to get this back, and last time we had it on, it sold out by 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. CBSDeals.com.
You said this is a home run.
This is a home run. So this Firm X, we've got some before afters, went viral because this is an instant way to lift, to smooth, to get rid of the lines and bags around the eyes. Look at these before and afters. Talk about instant magic. Now, it's temporary. This is like makeup.
How long does it last?
You're gonna put hours. So whatever event that you're going to, until you wash it off, it's going to stay on. This has transformed the way people feel. It's non-invasive. There's no pain. There's no downtime. And you get that lift. And now, all of a sudden, the lines, the crow's feet.
They're gone.
You want to know what our secrets are? By the way, who's wearing it? Both of us are. So this actually is going to come along with 3 sets of eye patches that are loaded with ceramides, collagen, caffeine, arnica. Those are really going to give you that nice restful look. But this actually has so many uses. I want you to